Hey Soul Surfers, welcome to Waves of Consciousness with My Spiritual Ocean. My name is Alicia, and today we are riding the self-love wave. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing 30 things that I found to be some of the most important themes and topics that I've learned during my self-love journey. There are guided worksheets that go along with this episode. They are not required by any means, but they may be a helpful tool for you. So if you are interested, check out the link in the description box and you can download them there. Otherwise, without further ado, let's dive on in. Theme number 1 is validate yourself. If I had to give only one piece of guidance or advice, it would be to validate yourself. Validation leads to radical self-acceptance and it releases resistance in your life. So validate every emotion, thought, action, and know that validation simply means understanding where someone's coming from or understanding where you are coming from. And it does not necessarily mean that you're condoning any such behavior. A lack of validation contributes to lack of trust, unpleasant emotions such as shame and guilt. If you're looking to know how to validate yourself, try using this method. I call it the validate and shift method. So you start by validating your feeling, thought, or action with affirmations such as, "It is okay for me to feel this way." After you validate that and regulate your nervous system and calm yourself down, you can then identify the underlying story or belief that is causing the feeling or the action. Because feelings are just manifestations of our thoughts. And usually if we're feeling less than stellar, it means that we are telling an unfavorable story about ourselves. After you do that, then you can shift to the new favorable story or belief system about yourself and continue to use this process, and it will alleviate a lot of resistance, a lot of pain, and a lot of things that feel like they're standing in your way. You'll eventually find the more that you validate yourself, the less you need validation from others. Theme number 2 is declutter. When people think decluttering, they usually think about decluttering a physical space, but there's really multiple ways that you can declutter. Declutter is just getting rid of the old to make space for the new, and some might call this a purge or the purge. But there's 3 different spaces that I consider as part of the decluttering process. So the first one is, of course, decluttering your physical space. So you can do this by donating or getting rid of items that you do not use or have not used in a long time. You can set a time frame that you haven't used the item to decide whether or not you should donate or give it up or not. This can be excess items, clothing, or anything you hold on to just in case. The next space that you can declutter is your mental space. And you can do this by writing out any thoughts that you are having about your current situation or where you are in life or in a specific area of life. And to do this more thoroughly, see the section on Bust Through Limiting Beliefs that's forthcoming. That will give more details about the process of how to do this. And the third and final space that I think of for decluttering is decluttering your emotional space. So allowing any old feelings to be processed as they come up, validate them. Again, you can revisit the Validate Yourself section for more details on that. And you can also see the section Feeling is the Secret, which is the next section, for more details about how to declutter your emotional space. Theme number 3 is Feeling is the Secret. The title of this section is a nod to spiritual teacher and mystic Neville Goddard, based on one of his books titled Feeling is the Secret. And though he means feeling differently than I do, I'm speaking about emotions in this section. So when we feel our feelings, especially those what we call negative emotions that we may avoid, we actually make more room for joy because the only way out is through. Feeling your feelings helps you shift states faster. Emotional bypassing can cause delays or feeling of stuckness. So if you're feeling that way, there may be some emotional avoidance going on. Now, how do you process your feelings? You can check out the validate and shift method in the validate yourself section, which goes through the process that I think works very well. And the most common underlying belief behind our quote unquote negative feelings is I am not enough. So that may be the very core belief. Some helpful phrases when processing emotions or feeling feelings that I found are even though you feel this way, I still love you. It is safe for you to feel this way, and your feelings are valid. The more you go through this process and allow yourself to feel your feelings, the more easily you'll navigate them and find emotional independence and emotional mastery. And also, the more you validate your feelings and process them, the less triggered you will feel. Theme number 4 is bust through limiting beliefs. Did you know that you can be, do, and have anything? That's right, you are limitless. And the only thing that is stopping you from knowing this are your limiting beliefs. You are only limited by beliefs about yourself and others in different areas of life. So how do we break through these limiting beliefs so that you can experience what you desire? First, you'll choose an area of life to examine. Once you do that, write what you know to be true about yourself and others in this area of life and notice any patterns. Then you can identify where these beliefs came from, like who or where did you learn them. Next, you'll identify which beliefs are limiting, and the way you can tell that is that any that are keeping you from following your joy or that are telling you you can't be, do, or have whatever it is that you want. After that, you'll cross out any of your limiting beliefs with a pen or a Sharpie. This gives the mind the symbolic gesture that it is no longer accepting this belief. Next, you'll empower yourself with new beliefs by writing opposing statements or beliefs that are in favor of what it is you are desiring to experience in that area of life. And finally, you'll persist and continue to affirm these new beliefs until they harden into fact in your reality. Theme number 5 is adore yourself. Did you know that your world is a mirror reflecting your dominant assumptions back to you, whether they're conscious or unconscious? That's why what you think of yourself and say of yourself internally or even out loud is so important. Your words matter, so become aware of your thoughts and how you speak to yourself. If you're not able to tap into your thoughts and how you speak to yourself right away, you can take a look at your 3D reality around you and your experiences and use those as feedback about the beliefs that you hold about yourself and yourself in relation to the world or different areas of life or even different people. You get your dominant subconscious programming in childhood between the ages of 0 and 7. So during that time, your mind is really accessible and you're basically taking on the meanings and assumptions of the people around you, as well as their belief systems, because you don't have a mind to rationalize what is truth or not truth for you yet. Now, if you look at what's going on in your life now, do you see any patterns between your childhood and what you're experiencing currently? That can be a big teller of what's going on unconsciously in your mind. So how do we change this? We change these thoughts through affirmations, and affirmations are just new thought patterns. And with repetition of these affirmations and new thought patterns comes new belief systems, which then in turn will change our experiences. And here are a few ways that you can use affirmations. You can do mirror work, which is when you stand in front of the mirror, looking in your eyes, saying the affirmations to yourself. You can put sticky notes around your house. You can use sleep affirmations, or you can even make it fun and use an affirmation collage. You can make it very colorful, however you want to do it, and put it on your fridge or somewhere where you will see it every day. But it is important to be mindful of the words that you're thinking and saying, for that is what is being reflected back to you through your experience. Theme number 6 is set yourself up for success. When first embarking on and really committing to this self-love journey, I think that something that is really important is setting up a routine or some sort of structure so that you will succeed. So I think it's super important to set up a morning and or evening routine, both if you can. When you set a morning routine, it sets the tone and intention for the day. And in the evening, it sets the tone and intention for your subconscious mind at night while it's in the sleep state. I always recommend starting out small in order to avoid burnout or overwhelm, because if you feel burnt out or overwhelmed, you just won't want to stick to it. Now, your subconscious is most easily accessible right upon waking and right before bed. When your brain is in the brainwave state, that is ideal for programming. Right upon waking and right before bed is also a great time to do your visualizations, your affirmations, or your scripting or journaling. And these are just some suggestions of things you can do during this time. But really, what's most important is to find what works and feels good for you and make any swaps when necessary. When I started this journey, my morning routine and evening routines look very different from where they are now. So start small, choose what feels good, try different things out, and see what resonates for you. There is no right or wrong way to do this. Theme number 7 is breathe. Breathing is just one of those functions that our body does automatically and unconsciously without us even thinking about it. It's just trained to breathe. So when we start consciously becoming aware of our breath, it's a very powerful piece of the puzzle. Breathing helps us regulate our nervous system. It keeps us grounded, present, and in the moment. The more you become aware of your breath, the more you notice it change in certain situations, such as if you're triggered. So if you're feeling triggered, noticing where and how you breathe can tell you a lot about trauma and emotions that are stored in your body. So for example, if you become shallow of breath when you're feeling triggered, do you stop breathing in those moments when that trigger is occurring? Being mindful of these and then going back to the breath and taking deep breaths, again, will help calm that nervous system down and regulate it. Aside from just taking deep breaths, which is one of the techniques we'll talk about, there are also other breathwork techniques that you can try. You can look these up online in more detail if you are interested in knowing more. The first and most simple breathwork technique is meditating while observing your breathing patterns. So just sitting in a restful state and noticing your natural breathing rhythm. Another technique is breath retention. So it's a 1:1:1 ratio. You inhale for a certain amount of time, hold the breath in for the same amount of time, and exhale for that same amount of time. The next technique is called lion's breath. This is where you inhale through your nose, you open your mouth very wide, stick out your tongue, and forcefully exhale a sound. The next one is what we talked about, which is belly breathing. This is taking deep breaths down into the pit of your belly. A final technique that I'll mention here, even though there are many more breathwork techniques, again, you can look them up, is alternate nostril breathing. And that's where you close one of your nostrils with your pinky finger, breathe in through the other nostril, open that nostril that was closed, use the other finger on the other one to plug that one or block that one, and then exhale through the alternate nostril. And you continue this pattern back and forth. Theme number 8 is celebrate yourself. You deserve to be celebrated. You don't have to do anything to be worthy or deserving of celebration. Just simply being you is worth celebrating. If you're working toward a long-term goal, sometimes it can feel so far away from you. But when you celebrate every step of the way, all of a sudden you end up to where your goal is and you look back and see how far you've come. Plus, it's just more fun to celebrate than focus on how far you have to go. Think of the saying, time flies when you're having fun. So every day, celebrate something about yourself. You can choose something to celebrate when you wake up in the morning. You can choose something to celebrate before going to bed. Those are really powerful times to focus on the celebration because it puts your mindset in a state of joy and success. There is no celebration too big or small. Anything you consider a win for yourself is worth celebrating. Theme number 9 is get naked. Getting naked is all about diving into vulnerability. It's about learning who you are behind the masks that you have accepted as your identity. Looking at your true identity behind the masks requires honesty and vulnerability, which can feel scary. So definitely validate those feelings during this piece of the course. There's 2 ways that you can get naked that I'll address here. The first one is to get emotionally naked. You can do this by writing a letter to yourself about how you are honestly feeling about your life right now. You can write about circumstances, you can write about how you feel about yourself. You can even write about past things that have happened, but really getting emotionally honest about how things in your life have gone and how they are affecting you, especially if they are things you haven't formally addressed yet. The next part of getting naked is to get naked physically and to show your body some love. So you can do this by standing naked in front of the mirror and showing love to the parts of your body that you dislike. You can use affirmations, you can even touch the different parts of your body and just feel love, express love in some sort of way. This part of the process really starts allowing you to love and accept yourself at different levels. And as always, if any emotions come up during this part of the process, make sure to validate those feelings and allow them to exist and love yourself through them. Theme number 10 is connect with your inner child. To me, the inner child is just a way of personifying your subconscious mind. So I feel that the inner child is the link to your unconscious patterns and circumstances. So how we address our inner child is through reparenting yourself. And that is to speak to and treat yourself the way you wanted your parents to speak to and treat you in childhood. You may not be able to have that experience now with your parents, but you can definitely give it to yourself and change your experiences in life. Some ways to connect with your inner child are to find photos of yourself at various ages in childhood. If you have photos available, carry them around. You can post them in your house, keep them nearby. Another thing you can do is write a letter to your younger self saying everything you wanted to hear from your parents or caregivers. And you can read this letter to yourself every day in the morning, at night. You can use it to form your affirmations for yourself. There's a lot of things you can utilize this letter for. You can also do activities you like to do in childhood or things that you always wanted to do in childhood but were not able to. You can do those things now. Let yourself play and have fun and let that carefree spirit out just to enjoy itself. You can also do mirror work, and you can even use the letter that you wrote to your younger self and read that to yourself looking in your eyes in the mirror as part of mirror work. And again, mirror work is just looking in your eyes in the mirror and telling yourself affirmations. A final way to connect with your inner child that I will share here is journaling using your non-dominant hand. And you can use a regular pen or pencil, but you can also use crayons or markers. Using the non-dominant hand is super powerful because your mind is focused on writing, so it really forces you to slow down and really connect with yourself as this information comes out. You'll even sometimes notice, because the mind is slowing down in order to function the hand, that things you didn't even know were hidden away in your mind will come out. So you can prompt yourself with just asking to your inner child, how are you feeling? And and let them express themselves through that non-dominant handwriting. Theme number 11 is ask for help. You can't heal until you acknowledge that you are hurt or wounded. And sometimes when we acknowledge this, that means we need to ask for help because we may not know how to heal. Here are some ways that you can ask for help. You can ask people you can trust that you already know. You can find a community of people who are going through or have gone through the same or similar experiences. You can set an intention that help will come, and you can even affirm, I always get the help I need. You can speak to your higher self or higher power or whatever language feels good for you to acknowledge a greater force beyond yourself. And when you ask for help, allow the help when it arrives. So help may come in ways you didn't even think of, such as a book, a song, a teacher, or another person. Sometimes the hardest part is not the asking for help. It's the allowing the help when it arrives. Theme number 12 is Pamper Yourself. A lot of people think that self-love and self-care are the same thing, but they really are not. Self-care is a subset of self-love, and it is such an important part of the process because you cannot be there for others if your energy is drained. So you need to show up for yourself. Your mind, body, and spirit all need care in order for you to be in optimal well-being. Here are some ways you can pamper yourself, and this would be self-care. You can get a massage. You can go to a massage parlor. If you don't feel that you have the funds for that, you can do a self-massage at home. There are plenty of tools and techniques. You can look online, and it doesn't have to be very expensive. You can also have a spa night. Again, you can go to an actual spa, but you can also do this at home if you're on a budget. So right now, more than ever, things are extremely accessible. You can go to local dollar stores or lower cost stores, and many of them have spa night essentials, some of which I'll mention now. One is doing a mani and pedi. So a lot of these places have nail polishes that are available or mani or pedi kits around, foot creams, different things like that that you can utilize to do a mani or pedi at home. And again, you can also go to a nail salon to have these done as well. You can also do face masks, and these are accessible as well. There's the ones that you take out of the package and you just put them on your face and they look like an actual face mask. There's cream-based ones where you use a brush and brush them on. Whatever suits your needs, whatever lights you up inside when you see it, go ahead and use that one. And the last way I'll talk about for a way to pamper yourself is by creating time and space for something that you love to do. It is so important to have time to yourself, and this is where you nourish your mind and your spirit and also your body because you're relaxing, taking time to do something that you truly love. Theme number 13 is get moving. Not only is movement amazing because it energizes you, it also allows stuck emotion or trauma to move out of your body. If you're new to movement or exercise, I suggest starting small and adding on gradually, again, so you don't burn yourself out or overwhelm yourself, because you may not stick to it if that is the case. It's ideal to do some form of movement at least daily. But again, if you're new to movement and exercise, starting out with even once a week and building yourself up is perfect. Movement can include, but is not limited to, these things: walking, stretching, yoga, dancing, exercise classes, strength training, the 5 Tibetan rites, hiking, really anything that moves your body and gets the energy going. Movement is not meant to be an unpleasant experience, so make sure you do what you enjoy so you will stick to it. Theme number 14 is get out in nature. Mother Nature. This section actually pairs very well with the Get Moving section. So you can combine your movement by using it to get out in nature, which is really great. Nature is so wonderful because it grounds you and connects you with your body. And a really powerful practice is called earthing. And that's where you stand barefoot somewhere in the outdoors, close your eyes, set the intention that Mother Nature takes what does not serve you and recycles it back to life. And you can also touch or connect with nature. So you can like hug a tree, touch plants, and you can feel the life force within those elements. It's very, very powerful. That's the most amazing thing about Mother Nature is Mother Nature will take negative ions from your body and use them to create life. Nothing is wasted in nature. It's quite amazing. Now, if you live in an area where there are seasons where going outdoors into nature is not ideal, there's ways to incorporate nature indoors, and you can do this even if the seasons are bearable for you to go outside into nature. But it's never a bad idea to bring nature into the comfort of your home space. So you can use crystals, you can take a bath or a shower, something with water. You can buy plants or flowers, and you can even meditate while visualizing being in nature. And if you go into nature via your imagination, it's just as powerful as if you were actually sitting outdoors. Theme number 15 is just say no. If you are someone who agrees to keep the peace, then this section is definitely for you. I just want to let you know that you have the right to say no to someone or something without explanation. As they say, no is a complete sentence. And I actually recommend trying just saying no without explaining yourself if you're starting to break out of people-pleasing patterns. When you don't say no when you want to, this is a form of self-abandonment. It causes resentment by ignoring your needs, and it's also just a mask to avoid conflict because you may not have been given the skills to resolve conflict effectively. If you notice that you have people-pleasing behavior, ask yourself the question, what are my fears about saying no? When you tap in and reflect on that question, a lot of answers will be revealed to you. Oftentimes, at the core of people-pleasing behavior is a fear of abandonment or a fear of rejection. If you're not used to saying no, this practice may feel challenging at first, but the more you continue to say no to things, the easier it will become. Theme number 16 is ditch your vices. Now it's time to ditch those vices and open your channels of creativity and allow yourself to be present. Just about anything can be a vice. It really depends on how and why you are using it. Vices are just a distraction, and they're used to escape or disconnect from ourself and our feelings. And when we do this, this tends to perpetuate the cycle of guilt and shame. So feeling guilty for having the habit, and it provides a way for us to distract ourselves from what we perceive to be flaws. Some common vices include, but are not limited to, alcohol or other substances, food, video games, social media. Those are the major ones. But I even found along my journey that something like meditation can be a vice because there were times when I would use it as a way to escape my emotions and avoid feeling my feelings. So really, again, it just comes down to how and why you are using something and whether you are allowing yourself to feel your full range of emotions. Theme number 17 is invest in yourself. Now it's time to invest in yourself. So reallocate resources in your life in order to develop yourself and improve your quality of life. You can even use the money and time saved from ditching your vices to invest in your growth. And there are two ways that I believe that you can really invest in yourself mainly. And that is with time and financially. So a few ways you can invest in yourself with time is by doing what you love, having me time set aside for yourself, either sometime each day or some allotted time period in your week, and pampering yourself. And some ways you can invest in yourself financially is to invest in personal growth courses, books, things of that nature, by doing something fun you've always wanted to do, like a hobby. Now, this doesn't always necessarily cost money, but it can. But this is about allowing yourself, if there's something you really want to do that does cost money, investing in yourself and letting yourself know that you are worth it. This is also about allowing yourself to have things you would normally deny yourself. So if you're somebody who gives a lot of time, energy, money, and are so quick to invest that in other people, take that investment and turn it around and invest it in yourself. Theme number 18 is attitude of gratitude. Do you have an attitude of gratitude? It's very commonly known that the things that we are grateful for allow more things for us to be grateful for to enter our life. So we can focus that gratitude energy around what we have currently. But did you also know there's a second aspect to gratitude? On top of being grateful for what you have now, it's also important to be grateful for anything that you're intentionally manifesting that you may not be yet experiencing in your 3D reality. Because in spiritual truth, everything is happening now. The only moment there is now. And once you desire something, that creation is done. It is already yours. So having gratitude that it is already done will bring it into your reality faster. It's important to remember there really is something to feel grateful for in each moment. Now, if you find the practice of gratitude to be triggering, there may be a reason behind that, because remember, triggers just are telling us something. They're trying to communicate to us. So a reflection question around this would be, was gratitude used to invalidate your needs and wants in childhood? If it was, that may be a reason gratitude is triggering, but process this just like any other trigger, and soon enough, gratitude will become an easier practice for you. Theme number 19 is Nourish Yourself. Did you know that there is more to nourishing yourself than just the food aspect? Yes, we will cover that here, but there are other ways that you could be nourishing yourself for optimal well-being. The first one is to mentally nourish yourself, and this is by being mindful of what you consume upon waking and before bed especially. That includes TV, the music you're listening to, things of that nature. Because remember, your subconscious mind is extremely susceptible at those times of day especially. So if you're falling asleep with particularly chaotic TV shows on or lyrics that are not of a favorable nature, that could impact your mindset. Mental nourishment also comes down to having a positive mental diet. Now, this does not mean to suppress your negative thoughts. Honor them, validate them just like everything else, and then shift to the new favorable thoughts. And as you continue to do that, those will become your new dominant thoughts. The next way to nourish yourself is emotionally. So do things that make you feel good, that make you laugh, and allow your feelings without judgment. Don't suppress your feelings. We're taught that there are good feelings and bad feelings, but really everything's neutral except for the meaning we give to it. So validate your feelings, allow them, and they will pass. Feelings are just temporary. The next way to nourish yourself is spiritually. You can use meditation, do things that feel good to your soul or bring out your inner child, that inner essence, and creative imagination. And of course, physically nourish yourself. So choose foods that feel good for you. Notice I didn't say to eat certain types of food. That's because I believe it is very important to avoid judging foods as healthy or unhealthy. Again, everything is neutral except for the meaning that we give it. And by using judgmental language around food, that can cause some mental distress. And of course, another way to nourish yourself physically is to move your body in ways that feel good for you. By capturing all these different forms of nourishment, you will be at your optimal health and well-being. Theme number 20 is disconnect. The concept of disconnecting is a little bit paradoxical because when you disconnect, it is a way of reconnecting with yourself and those you love. So by disconnecting, I'm talking about disconnecting from electronics, the internet, news, things that are draining your energy. You can do this a variety of ways. You can choose a day of the week or schedule a time daily to power down your electronics, such as your phones, tablets, and even TV. You can also, on this day of the week or scheduled time, take social media breaks. Social media is a basis for comparison, and a lot of times it's a great tool for us to connect educationally, but it also can be draining. So be mindful of how you're using social media, but regardless of if it's an educational tool for you or not, disconnecting from social media and taking those breaks is actually quite liberating, and I definitely recommend it. So when you disconnect, you might be thinking, well, what else can I do instead? I'm so used to my electronics. Here are some ideas that you can do on your disconnect time. You can get out into nature. You can create through art, writing, cooking, any sort of creating. Explore your local area, learn something new, or start a hobby. You can enjoy your living space distraction-free. I don't know about you, but I have an amazing living space, and when I'm on my phone or tablet or watching TV a lot, I don't utilize all of the areas of space within my home and enjoy them. So this is a great opportunity to do that. It's also a great time when you're disconnected to go out with your friends or family and reconnect that way. Just have an electronic-free time and really connect with each other at a deeper level. The greatest gift you can give yourself and others, especially the people you love, is your full time and attention. Theme number 21 is be of service. Serving others is such a feel-good thing to do. Being of service puts you in a space of unconditional giving. So you're in a space of helping other people without expecting something in return. So much of society right now is quite conditional. So when you're being of service to others around you without an expectation of something in return, it really fuels your soul because love, unconditional love, is the only universal truth. So what are some ways that you can be of service unconditionally to others? You can tell your story, tell your experience. It's amazing how powerful just sharing our experiences so others don't feel alone. You can hold space for other people and their feelings and accept them just as they are without trying to change or fix anything or get them out of their uncomfortable feelings. You can donate your time or money or both to charitable organizations or organizations that you're very passionate about. Things that light up your soul, that match and align with your moral values. And you can also volunteer to support an important cause. Being of service is such an important part of the journey. It keeps us present and it really gives us a different viewpoint of gratitude and allows us the opportunity to be grateful for our experience in all different sorts of ways. Theme number 22 is dream it, have it. Are you happy with the way things are in your life? Are you living a life you want or one you've been told you should have? Well, if you are looking at your life and things are not the way you want them to be, then it's time to give yourself permission to be happy now. You can even start by affirming, I am willing to allow myself to be happy. Especially if you've lived a life where you feel that you've experienced a lot of disappointment, saying this simple statement lets your mind know that you are open to a shift in your experience. Everything is happening in this now moment. It's the most powerful moment there is. And I don't know if you know this or not, but if you want to change your experience, all you have to do is live in your imagination. Because imagination is actually the true reality. If you look at everything that's going on around you right now, it was once a thought. And thoughts create images in our mind, which are then projected out. So if we want to change our experience, we can go directly through our imagination and we can think new thoughts that create that new image in our mind, which is then projected out for us when we're persistent in this assumption. So how do you achieve this? Well, you can visualize your ideal life, but before you can do that, you have to know what your ideal life is. So write down what your ideal life is, and you can reflect on these questions as you write down your ideal life. Who is around you? What are you doing? What are you feeling? Where do you live? As you write all of these things down and get specific, you can do it through different areas of life, or you can focus on one specific area of life if you really like to. Whatever works for you and feels good for you, you can start that way and expand out. But once you write down your ideal life and what it looks like, create a short scene that encompasses all of these things and implies that they've happened, and then visualize it. Right when you wake up in the morning or right before bed are very powerful times to imagine this scene. And when you do visualize and imagine this scene, bring as many of your 5 senses in as you can. When you do that, it tells your mind that you're living in that scene now, and your subconscious mind will project that out into your experience. Theme number 23 is romance yourself. Ooh, this topic is a fun one, romancing yourself. This is a really great practice for self-love. It's also a really great practice if you are actively and consciously manifesting love and romance into your life. So here are some ways that you can fall in love with yourself. First one is to dress up. Get that outfit from your closet that still has the tags on it that you've been saving for the special occasion or special event, and wear it, because you are the special occasion. You are the special event. So treat yourself, dress up, as long as you're comfortable and you want to, of course. Another thing you can do is buy yourself flowers. Or if you have a garden, pick yourself some flowers from the garden and bring them inside and put them in your house. Another thing you can do is write yourself a love letter. And in this letter, you can write what you love about yourself, and you can also think about what you would want a romantic partner to say to you, and write that to yourself. It's also extra powerful if you read this to yourself every day, especially if you look yourself in the eyes in the mirror. It feels so good to read sweet, lovely, loving things about yourself to yourself. Another thing you can do is take yourself to dinner. You can go out to a restaurant if you want, like a restaurant that you love or one that you've always wanted to try. But if you're not really interested in going out, or you don't feel that you have the budget for that at this time, you can make a fancy meal at home for yourself. When it comes to fancy meals, I feel like really what makes it fancy is the plating. So it's super easy to make a meal for yourself that feels fancy, even at home. You can light some candles and you can turn on some music and put those flowers that you got yourself on the table and just enjoy yourself. While you're at it, if you're listening to music, you may as well dedicate those songs to yourself or sing those love songs to yourself even. Again, adding the mirror aspect. A lot of music is based out of codependency, especially a lot of mainstream music. So if you listen to songs, love songs that you want to experience with a romantic partner and sing them to yourself looking in your eyes, it feels so good. Try it out. It was a new experience for me and I loved every second of it. There are many other ways you can romance yourself as well. You can take yourself out on dates, any date that you would want to do with someone else, and just have a really good time by yourself. Some of the best times I had were days when I took myself out on a date. So take some time to romance yourself, whatever that looks like for you, and watch the magic happen. Theme number 24 is forgive. Forgiveness can be a triggering topic because a lot of times we are told that in order to move forward with our lives, we have to forgive. But I think something that's important to know about forgiveness is that it can't be forced, especially when you're talking about forgiving others. Remember, forcing is a form of resistance. Failing to forgive is a form of self-punishment. It keeps us trapped in cycles of guilt and shame, which is why it's really important to forgive yourself first. Now, you may be wondering, what do I have to forgive myself for? Take an inventory of times where you behaved in ways you never thought you would or you never wanted to, or maybe in ways that you would have judged others for behaving, and forgive yourself for those. There's also an element of forgiveness for allowing certain things to continue in your life longer than they should have. Allowing yourself to be treated a certain way, forgiving yourself for the way you speak to yourself, for the way you've treated yourself. And as you forgive yourself, forgiveness of others comes naturally. It's quite interesting the way that it unfolds. A really powerful practice for forgiveness is the Ho'oponopono prayer, which is a Hawaiian prayer. It translates to, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And you can say the actual words Ho'oponopono out loud, or you can break it down to the translated phrases. But saying these in a mirror or even just repeating them to yourself throughout the day, whether you have your focus on yourself or a specific situation or a specific person, is really, really powerful. So if you're at the point of your journey where you're ready to start forgiveness, I highly recommend the Ho'oponopono prayer. Theme number 25 is set healthy boundaries. I think the most important thing to know when it comes to setting boundaries is that boundaries are for you and not them. They're not for the other person. Boundaries are meant to tell you what you are willing to tolerate. They are not meant to control another person's behavior. This section is about setting healthy boundaries, remembering to set boundaries and not barricades. When we cut people out harshly and extremely at the first sign of any disruption or argument, that's our survival mode kicking in. And it actually keeps us disconnected instead of engaging in healthy communicative relationships. So if you've never set a boundary before, how do you do that? The first thing you want to do is state your needs and wants to the other person. This communicates your expectations of how you expect to be treated. Then you'll state an actionable consequence to the boundary violation. So for example, you'll tell them, if you raise your voice at me, I will leave this room. That is an actionable consequence to their decision and an action you can take. The third step is to follow through on the consequence if the boundary is violated again. So if the person does end up raising their voice, making sure that you take your action and leave the room. This shows the person that you stand by your word, and it also is a way for you to follow through for yourself so that you are not abandoning yourself and your needs and wants in these situations. Setting boundaries may feel uncomfortable at first, but it does become easier with practice. It's a new skill set, and just like anything else, the more you practice, the easier it becomes. If you set a boundary and you're unable to follow through, that's okay. Give yourself grace and try again next time. And as always, if any emotions arise during this process or after this process, allow yourself to process them, and you can go back to the feeling is the secret section for more details on how to do this. Theme number 26 is be fearless. Have you ever heard the saying, everything you want is on the other side of fear? It is so true. Fear serves its purpose. It keeps us safe, but it also keeps us from achieving and having the things that we truly desire in our lives. So that's when it's time for us to step outside of our comfort zone. A lot of people battle fear and feel angry about it. And of course, all these feelings are valid. However, I challenge you to meet your fear with kindness, compassion, and curiosity. This step is about fearing less and not becoming fear-free, although at some point in the process, you may become fear-free. Think of the saying, feel the fear and do it anyway. Again, processing that fear, allowing it, and exploring it. You face your fears by questioning them, asking them, what is there to be afraid of? This will show you the limiting beliefs you hold about yourself and about yourself in relation to the thing that you desire. Fear comes from a place of feeling unsafe, and so our ego tries to protect us by reminding us of all the times that trying something new or stepping out of our comfort zone didn't work. So that's when you just reassure yourself that you are safe in what it is that you are choosing to do. If you have a fear of failure or a fear of success or both, explore these. See where they came from. What messages did you get about failure? What does it mean about you if you fail? What does it mean about you if you succeed? Journal these responses, do some free writing, and see what answers come to you. Remember, failure is an illusion. We've only failed when we say we have. Theme number 27 is have fun. Have you ever heard the phrase get to work? Well, it's time to change the way you view things and start telling yourself, instead of get to work, tell yourself get to fun. Remember, your words are very powerful, so if you're referring to something as being work, your mind is going to most likely make it feel challenging for you. But if you make it fun, it will be more easy to accomplish. Now, this journey doesn't always feel like fun, so honor that, of course, but tell your mind that there is fun involved in this. It is possible to make this journey fun. So find the most fun way to accomplish things along the journey, even the things that feel challenging, because remember, time flies when you're having fun. So if you're looking to achieve something like unconditional self-love, the journey may feel long, but if you find a way to make it fun, it will go so much faster. How can you do this? Well, by doing what you love, of course. And if you don't know what you love, ask yourself what you would love to do right now. Remember, there's only the now moment. So if you find what you love to do now or what would feel fun in the now moment, the faster time will go. And before you know it, you'll look back and realize just how far you've come on the journey. As you continue through the journey as well, and you process your emotions and process your triggers and shift your mindset, you will actually find that you are in a state of having fun and are able to really enjoy life regularly. Theme number 28 is start a hobby. This topic can actually pair very well with the last topic of having fun. Here we talk about starting a hobby. At the very least, hobbies are an opportunity to connect with your inner child. Hobbies can put you in the energy of creation or creative flow. They can lead you to your purpose, and they can even connect you to others who have similar interests. Now, if you're not sure what hobby to start, you can ask yourself these questions. What is it that lights you up? What makes you feel really excited or something that you've always really wanted to do? You can also ask yourself, what did you like to do in childhood? A lot of times, starting back in childhood with the things we love can pave the path to greater opportunities and greater joys in our life. You may find that some of the things that you enjoyed in childhood, you no longer enjoy now, and that's okay. But it's a great way to explore the world of hobbies if you're not quite sure where to start. Theme number 29 is speak your truth. Are you living your truth or someone else's truth? That is something to think about. Because when you're living someone else's truth, you're not being authentic to yourself. So speaking your truth is about living your truth and not someone else's. It's also about speaking from a place of authenticity rather than hurt or fear. So I hear people say that they're speaking their truth, and it comes from a place of trauma response or a space of isolating themselves versus building connection. So really thinking about whether or not you're speaking from a place of love or a place of fear and hurt. Your words are so powerful. That's why it's important to tell your story, because your story has value for others. And not only that, you have the right to be heard, whether you tell your story specifically or you just speak your truth and speak what matters to you. Your words are so powerful, in fact, that the words that you speak, whether you're speaking them out loud or internally, is what becomes your experience. It's also what you become. So make sure you're speaking words that you want to be true and that are an experience that you want to create for yourself. And theme number 30 is rest. On this self-love journey, you may notice some physical exhaustion or physical symptoms. That's because as you embark on this journey, your body is physically changing as your brain is wiring new neural pathways. So your brain is literally changing, but not only that, the cells in your body are changing as well. You're releasing old trauma from your body, and the body is moving itself out of trauma drive. So when you're in trauma drive and living in fight or flight mode and survival mode, the body tenses up and it's always on alert. So your body is finally being allowed the opportunity to relax. And as you change your mindset, it feels safe to relax and let down that guard. So along the journey, there are times that you will feel extremely energized, and then there are times when you will feel so drained. But it's a different kind of drain than something that's draining your energy, because your body is actually replenishing its energy. It's shifting into its new version of itself. And I call these spiritual growth spurts. So you notice on the journey when you've had a major breakthrough mentally, you have these moments of clarity, you'll also feel it in your body too. So when this happens and your body's asking for rest, listen to your body and give it what it needs, because your body is very smart. It knows what it needs and it knows what to do to get you where you want to go. And there you have it. Those are the top 30 most important themes that I've learned on my self-love journey. As a reminder, there are guided worksheets that you can download that accompany this episode. If you'd like to access them, go ahead and check the link in the description box. You can also watch this episode on YouTube, and it has visual demonstrations of the information that I've provided here. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining me, and I will catch you all on the next wave.